My name is Raj Suppiah. I work for Tararua District Council. I'm the Chief Financial Officer. I've been with Council for 3 years, and prior to that I worked for Audit New Zealand, and prior to that I've moved from Singapore, and I'm living it here. The key focus for the Finance Department, for my department, would be looking at the funding aspect of Council. Every year upon year we manage the financials for the Council. We set the rates, we look to see how we're going to fund the activities, and as part of the process, we look to make sure that the Council meets its objectives regards to its long-term plan. The key focus for us for the last few years has been around affordability and financial prudence. Part of the key issues and challenges for us in the 10-year plan, two key things: Funding in terms of the availability of new funding. Council currently has got a funding source, and it's primarily rates, subsidies, fees and charges, and other miscellaneous revenue that we've got. The key challenge for us is can we sustain that level of funding, and are there any new funding sources? That's a huge challenge for us. There's limited as to how much we could rate the ratepayers. There's funding limited to how much subsidies we could get from central government or from other agencies. There is funding limited to how much we could charge people in regards to fees and charges for using our services, and also limited funding from other revenue sources. So the need for us to look at new funding becomes very critical, and there's very little options out there for us. The second challenge that we have is regards to the whole issue of affordability. Can we afford to charge or continue to rate the ratepayers at the current rate? Can we afford the infrastructure that we're going to have in place? Can we afford the renewals of this infrastructure going forward? Can the next generation afford to pay for those renewals of this infrastructure? So there's a lot of challenges that we've got in the funding area, and it's not just looking at 1 year, 2 years, and I think we've got to look at one generation or two generations. That's why Local Government Act stressed that we need to look at intergenerational equity. So that's really key for us. That's a huge challenge. The two other significant issues I think we need to address, one would be looking at reserves. Council has the ability actually to build up reserves to cater for future events, like for example emergencies, like for example asset renewals. I think it's very important for us to put some money aside in good times, so that when the money is required, we actually could dig into our reserves. The reason why we do that is that helps actually to spread the rates burden or the cost of renewals or the cost of the emergency across not just 1 year, but over several years, and possibly across various generations as well. I think the biggest thing right now, topical issue, is earthquake-prone buildings. For the building, there's several issues. The Act is not passed yet. Central government is still thinking about what the requirements of the Act should be, but it places a lot of burden on Council. One is a requirement for Council to ensure that it does its initial assessments. Second is it places a lot of burden on the commercial industry, because they need to make good their buildings. They need to make sure the buildings are safe. Some companies can afford it, some can't afford it. So that would have a significant impact on Council, significant impact on the community. Just imagine driving by Main Street and you find buildings are vacant because the owners do not have the ability to strengthen those buildings, to make them safe. That is a major issue for us. And I think there's a lot of buildings out there, a lot of building owners out there who cannot afford. So that is a real issue for Council, and we just hope the central government, when they pass the Act, they're going to be quite sensible about this and not overreact to what has happened in Christchurch. When we're looking at the roading activity and how we deliver that service, I think the Alliance is going to reap benefits for the district. The approach is going to be right. We've got a good partner, and I think the way in which we're going to work with our partner Downers, I think is going to in years' time, it's really going to benefit the district.